It's payday, Friday morning. You're on your lunch break, sitting in your car in the parking garage because the office is too loud and you need 5 minutes of quiet. You pull out your phone, direct deposit notification. Your chest does that little flutter, the good kind, the finally kind. You do the quick math in your head before you even open the app. 75,000 divided by 26 paychecks. That's $2,888, roughly. You've done this math 100 times. You know what it should be. You tap the notification. The app loads. The number appears. $1,947. You stare at it. Your brain stutters. That can't be right. You pull down to refresh. The screen bounces, reloads. Still $1,947. You tap into pending transactions, thinking maybe something's delayed. Nothing pending. This is it. This is what actually hit your account. Where did $941 go? You know the answer. Taxes, deductions, benefits. The stuff they take before the money even touches your hands. But here's the thing that makes your chest tight. Even with that $1,947 hitting your account twice a month, even with almost $4,000 a month coming in, you're still broke. Not, I can't eat broke, not lights getting shut off broke, just tight. Always tight, every single month. You thought $75,000 would feel different. You thought this is where it gets easier. But it's the 27th, and you've got $382 left and rent auto drafts in 4 days, and you're doing that mental math again, the panicked math, the can I move anything around math, the where did it all go math. And here's the part that should honestly make you furious. According to research on Paycheck to Paycheck living, about 78% of full-time workers said they live paycheck to paycheck in recent years. That's not minimum wage workers. That's everyone. That includes people making $75,000. That includes people making 6 figures. You're not failing. You're not bad with money. The game is designed to keep you exactly here. Busy, stressed, barely keeping up. But there's a catch, and it's hiding in the fine print of your financial life. It's not just the taxes, though that's part of it. It's not just cost of living, though that's brutal. There's something nobody tells you when you accept that offer letter. The invisible gap between what you think you make and what you actually get to keep. The geographic trap that turns good money into barely enough. The lifestyle creep that happens so slowly you don't notice until 3 years in and you still can't breathe. And I'm going to show you the one decision most people make that sounds responsible, but actually keeps them broker than if they'd done nothing at all. We'll get to that. If you ignore this, that $75,000 on your offer letter will feel like a lie for the next decade. Every raise will disappear. Every bonus will evaporate. You'll keep wondering when it finally gets easier. But if you understand what's actually hiding in the fine print of your paycheck, your zip code, and your bank account, you can make that number work for you, instead of just keeping you stressed and stuck. My name is Finn, and I read the fine print so you don't have to. This video is about why good money feels like broke money, what your paycheck isn't showing you, and how people making less than you have more freedom than you'll ever have at this rate.
Quick thing before we get into it properly. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not personal financial advice. I'm just someone who's obsessed with reading way too many reports about how money and incentives actually work. Use this as education and entertainment and as ideas to think about, not as a blueprint for your exact life. If you're making big money moves with real money, talk to a professional who actually knows your situation. Let's start with what just happened in that parking garage, because you thought you were getting $75,000 a year, but there's a catch. You're not getting $75,000. You're getting whatever's left after the fine print eats first, and a fine print is hungry. Here's how the game works. When someone offers you $75,000 a year, that number is called your gross income. Gross means before anything gets taken out. It's the headline number, the one you tell your parents, the one you put on your apartment application, the one that made you feel like you finally made it. But gross income is not money you can spend. That's net income. And the distance between gross and net, that's where most people's financial confusion lives. That's where broke hides, even when the salary looks good. Let's do some quick math, and I need you to really feel this because this is the fine print nobody explains when you're negotiating salary. $75,000 a year. Sounds solid, right? Sounds like you should be comfortable. Here's what actually happens to that money before it ever reaches your bank account. Federal income tax. For a single filer making $75,000 in 2024 using standard deduction, your effective federal rate puts you at roughly $12,000 in federal income tax. That's 16% gone immediately. You never see it, it never hits your account, it's just gone. FICA taxes, Social Security and Medicare. This one's non-negotiable, 7.65% of your gross. On $75,000, that's about $5,700. Every single paycheck, this comes out first. You're now at $19,700 taken before we even talk about state taxes. State income tax. This depends on where you live, and this is where it gets personal. If you're in California, add another $6,000 to $7,000. New York? Similar. Texas or Florida? You skip this one, but most people aren't in Texas. Let's say you're in a state with a modest 5% state income tax. That's another $3,750. Add it up. Federal, $12,000, FICA, $5,700, state, $3,750. That's $21,250 you never see. Your $75,000 just became $53,750, and we haven't even touched health insurance yet. The average worker contribution for employer-sponsored health insurance is around $1,600 a year, according to Kaiser Family Foundation data. Let's call it $1,500 for a high-deductible plan because you're trying to save money. Now you're at $52,250. $75,000 on the offer letter, $52,250 in your actual bank account. That's a $22,750 gap. That's 30% of your salary that just doesn't exist for you. And I'm willing to bet you never sat down and calculated this until right now. But here's where the fine print gets cruel, and this is what I promised I'd show you. That $52,000, that's just what hits your account. That's not what you get to keep, because now we need to talk about the second line of fine print that nobody reads, where you live. And there's one specific thing hiding in your pay stub that most people never notice. Look at your pay stub right now if you have it. Go to line 8, federal income tax withheld. Line 9, FICA. Add those two numbers together. That's what you're paying just to have a job. Most people never look at those lines, they just look at the bottom number and accept it. That's the game. Keep your eyes on the net deposit. Never look at what got taken. Because if you looked, you'd realize 30 cents of every dollar you earn never belonged to you in the first place.
When someone offers you $75,000, they're not telling you the second half of the sentence. $75,000 where? In what zip code? Because here's the catch that should make you sick. $75,000 in Des Moines, Iowa is not the same as $75,000 in San Francisco, California. It's not even close. But both offer letters say $75,000. Both people think they make good money. One of them is building wealth, the other is drowning and doesn't understand why. Here's what's actually happening, and I'm going to be very specific because this is the part companies know and hope you never figure out. When they post a job in San Francisco at $75,000 and the same job in Phoenix at $65,000, they're not paying you more in San Francisco. They're paying you the same after cost of living. But they know most people will see 75 versus 65 and think San Francisco is the better offer. The recruiters have cost of living adjustment charts, internal spreadsheets that show exactly how much less your $75,000 buys in San Francisco versus Phoenix versus Cleveland. They know a $75,000 salary in San Francisco has the same purchasing power as $53,000 in a mid-cost city. You're the only person in that salary negotiation who doesn't have that chart. That's not an accident, that's the game, and the fine print on your offer letter will never mention it. Let's use real numbers so you can see exactly how this works. According to cost of living data and BLS statistics, here's what $75,000 actually buys you depending on where you live. $75,000 in San Francisco? After federal, FICA, and California state tax, you're taking home about $48,000. That's $4,000 a month. Your rent for a one-bedroom that doesn't require a 2-hour commute? $3,300 a month average. $39,600 a year. You take home $48,000. Rent is $39,600. You have $8,400 left for the entire year. For food, transportation, insurance, phone, internet, going out, clothes, saving, emergencies, everything. That's $700 a month for your entire life outside of rent and taxes. You're not building wealth, you're surviving in an expensive place. $75,000 in New York City? After tax, about $46,000 net. Maybe you're paying $2,800 for a one-bedroom in Queens or Brooklyn. $33,600 a year in rent. You've got $12,400 left. About $1,000 a month. Still tight, still stressed, still one surprise away from credit card debt. $75,000 in Austin? No state income tax, so you're taking home about $53,000. Rent for a decent one-bedroom? Around $1,900. $22,800 a year. You've got $30,200 left. $2,500 a month. You're breathing, you can save, you can build something. Same salary, different zip code, completely different life. $75,000 in Cleveland, Ohio? Take home around $51,000 after Ohio state tax. Rent for a nice one-bedroom? $1,200 a month. $14,400 a year. You've got $36,600 left. $3,050 a month. You're not just comfortable, you're actually ahead. You can invest, you can build an emergency fund. You can say no at work without sweating payroll. Quick math, and this should make you physically sick. Two people, same job, same $75,000 salary, same work ethic, same discipline. Person A is in San Francisco, taking home $48,000, paying $39,600 in rent. Person A has $700 a month left for life. Person B is in Cleveland, taking home $51,000, paying $14,400 in rent. Person B has $3,000 a month left. The difference? Person B has $27,600 more actual life money every single year. Every year. Same salary on paper, but person A would need $105,000 in San Francisco to have the same lifestyle as person B at 75 in Cleveland. That's the fine print on your offer letter didn't include. That's what the salary comparison websites don't show you. $75,000 is not $75,000. It's whatever's left after the government takes their cut and your zip code takes theirs. And if you don't do that math before you sign the lease, you're going to spend years wondering why you feel broke on a good salary.
So why does this trap work so perfectly? Why do smart people keep falling for it? Because the entire salary system is designed around one goal. Keep your eyes on the gross number and away from the fine print. And your brain is wired to cooperate. The villain here isn't just the taxes or the rent, it's the salary anchor. When someone offers you $75,000, your brain locks onto that number like it's truth. That's the number you tell people when they ask what you make. That's the number you use to justify the apartment. That's the number you compare yourself to your college friends with. That's the number that makes you feel like you finally made it. Your brain does not naturally think $75,000 gross means $52 net means I can actually only afford $1,600 in rent if I want to save anything. And here's where the psychology gets nasty. You've been grinding. You've been underpaid for years. You've been living with 3 roommates or in your parents' basements or in a place where you could hear your neighbor's entire life through the walls. You're tired. You're so tired of feeling behind while everyone else seems to be winning. So when that offer comes through with $75,000 on it, your brain isn't calculating net income and cost of living adjustments. Your brain is protecting relief and identity. You want to feel like you made it. You want the apartment that matches the number on the offer letter. You want to stop explaining why you're still living like a college student. That's your brain protecting your self-image, and the system absolutely loves it. Because when you're tired and emotional and desperate to feel successful, you sign the lease before you calculate what's actually left. You buy the car before you factor in insurance and gas on your real take-home. You say yes to a lifestyle based on gross and then try to live it on net. That gap is where broke lives, even when the paycheck looks good. But there's a second trap waiting for you, and this one's even more insidious. Once you have the $75,000 job and the apartment that matches and the life that looks successful from the outside, something shifts in your brain. You start thinking in terms of I deserve instead of I can afford. Nice dinner out? I make $75,000 a year. I deserve a good meal. Upgraded phone? I make $75,000. I can handle the monthly payment. Weekend trip to see friends? I make $75,000. I should be able to travel. New work wardrobe because the office is business casual and your old stuff doesn't fit the vibe anymore? I make $75,000. I need to look the part. None of these feel big in the moment. That's exactly why they work.
You're not buying a boat. You're not being irresponsible. You're just living like someone who makes $75,000 is supposed to live. Except you don't make $75,000. You make $52,000 after tax and maybe $26,000 after rent if you're in an expensive city. But your brain is still spending based on the 75 number because that's the anchor, that's the identity. Before you know it, you've got $2,600 in fixed costs, another $400 to $600 in I deserve spending that doesn't even feel like spending because it's all reasonable stuff, and your actual paychecks are $3,900 a month after taxes. You're saving nothing. You're living $300 from overdraft every single month, and you're wondering why $75,000 feels exactly like $35,000 used to feel. Different apartment, same stress, higher number, same broke feeling. That's the real trap. The salary isn't just a number, it's permission your brain gives itself to spend like you make that number, even though you don't actually make that number. You make what's left after the fine print eats. And if you don't know what's left, your brain will spend like you make gross and live like you make net, and that gap will eat you alive.
Let me show you what this actually costs in real life, because the pain isn't just feeling broke every month. It's what you're not building while you're stuck. It's the compound interest you're missing. It's the options you don't have. It's the freedom that's evaporating while you're trying to figure out where your paycheck went. And I'm going to be very specific because I want this to hurt enough that you actually change something. Quick math. 2 people. Same age, mid-20s, same degree, same job offer, $75,000 a year, same industry. We'll come back to their names in a minute, but first you need to see the actual numbers because the numbers are brutal. Option A, take the $75,000 job in Seattle. Sounds impressive. Good company, tech sector, looks amazing on LinkedIn. After federal, FICA, and Washington State has no income tax but has other costs, you're taking home about $53,000. Call it $4,400 a month. Rent for a 1-bedroom that doesn't require a 90-minute commute? $2,600, $31,200 a year. You've got $21,800 left, $1,800 a month for everything else. Food, car, insurance, student loan payment, phone, internet, going out, gym, subscriptions, saving, $1,800. You try, you budget, you use the apps, you tell yourself you're being smart, but every month something happens. The dental thing, the car registration you forgot about, your friend's bachelor party in Vegas, the work happy hour where everyone's buying rounds. Suddenly, $1,800 becomes $1,200, becomes $600, and it's the 27th and rent hits in 4 days and you're back to moving money around and hoping nothing else breaks. By year 3, you're making $82,000. Sounds great. After tax, $4,800 a month. Rent went up to $2,900. That's $34,800 a year. You've got $24,000 left, $2,000 a month. You're still tight. You still have maybe $800 saved on a good month. One bad month wipes it out. You're making $82,000 and you still can't get ahead. You still can't leave the job when it gets toxic because you can't afford 2 months without a paycheck. Option B, take a $65,000 job in Raleigh, North Carolina. Sounds less impressive when you tell people. Smaller company, less brand recognition, not as cool to talk about at parties. But here's what actually happens. After tax, about $47,000, $3,900 a month. Rent for a nice 1-bedroom, $1,300, $15,600 a year. You've got $31,400 left, $2,600 a month. You live the same life option A lives, same quality food, same social life, same car situation, but you have an extra $800 a month that just exists. You're not being cheap, you're not being a monk, you just have space. You can breathe. When the car needs work, it's annoying but not a crisis. When your friend's wedding comes up, you go without the credit card panic. By year 3, you're making $70,000. After tax, about $4,100 a month. Rent is now $1,500, $18,000 a year. You've got $32,200 left, $2,683 a month. Still comfortable, still space, still breathing room. But here's where the math gets genuinely painful. That extra $800 a month option B had from day 1, let's say they invested $500 of it. Boring index funds, nothing fancy, just $500 a month consistently. After 3 years, that's $18,000 contributed. With average market growth, that's worth about $21,000.
Option A has 0 saved. Actually, option A has negative $2,500 because of that month when the car broke and the emergency fund didn't exist yet and the credit card was the only option. Same education, same intelligence, same work ethic. One person read the fine print on cost of living before signing the offer. One person chased the higher gross number without doing the actual math. 3 years later, one person has $21,000 invested and can walk away from a bad job tomorrow. The other person has credit card debt and can't even take a sick day without anxiety. And if you want to feel genuinely sick, let's extend this out. Option B keeps investing that $500 a month for 20 more years. At a conservative 8% return, that grows to about $308,000. Option A finally starts saving at year 5 after getting raises and cutting expenses, but they're starting from 0, while option B has been compounding since day 1. That 3-year head start is worth about $75,000 in future value just from time in the market. One decision: read the fine print on what your salary actually buys in your zip code, or chase the higher number and hope it works out. 23 years later, the difference is $300,000 and the ability to retire early or not. That's not a rounding error. That's the down payment on financial freedom you're giving away because you didn't calculate net versus rent before you moved. That's what's not in the fine print of your offer letter. That's the opportunity cost they never show you on the salary negotiation websites. Every month you spend barely breaking even is a month you can't invest. Every month you can't invest is compound interest you'll never get back. And compound interest doesn't care about your impressive job title or your expensive apartment. It only cares about time. And you're burning time.
Okay, so if the gross versus net trap and the geographic cost of living conspiracy are the villains, what's the countermove? Because you can't just not work. You can't just not live somewhere. You need to make this work in reality, not in theory. Here's the framework I wish someone had tattooed on my forehead when I got my first real offer. Calculate your actual take-home before you make a single financial decision, and then adjust every single life choice to your net, not your gross, not what sounds impressive, not what matches your job title, what's actually left after the fine print eats. Step 1. Before you accept any offer, calculate your real net income. Don't guess, don't estimate, use a paycheck calculator. Put in your state, put in your filing status, put in your deductions. See the actual number that will hit your bank account every 2 weeks. That number, not the offer letter number, is your real salary. If $75,000 becomes $52,000 after tax, you make $52,000. End of story. Plan your entire life around 52, not 75. Step 2. Before you move for a job or sign a lease, run the real cost of living comparison. Not the vibes, not what your friends say, the actual math. There are free calculators online. Bankrate has one, NerdWallet has one. Plug in both cities, see what your salary actually buys after rent and expenses. If $75,000 in San Francisco leaves you with $700 a month and $65,000 in Nashville leaves you with $2,200 a month, you're not taking a pay cut by going to Nashville. You're getting a $21,000 annual raise in real purchasing power. Stop looking at gross. Start looking at what's left. Step 3. Set a rent rule before you're emotional and desperate and tired of looking at apartments. Your rent should not exceed 30% of your net income. Not gross, net. If you're taking home $4,000 a month, your max rent is $1,200. If you're taking home $3,500, max is $1,100. I don't care what your gross salary is. I don't care what your coworkers are paying. I don't care what the average rent is in your city. Your net determines your rent ceiling, or your rent determines your stress level. Pick one. Step 4. Track your I deserve spending for 1 full month. Not to shame yourself, not to be a monk, to be honest. Every time you swipe your card and the thought in your head is, I make good money, I deserve this, write it down. Dinner out, upgraded coffee, impulse Amazon order, weekend trip, new clothes for work. Add it up at the end of the month. I'm willing to bet it's between $400 and $700. That's $5,400 to $8,400 a year you're spending on relief and validation instead of building options. I'm not saying never treat yourself. I'm saying know what it costs and decide if it's worth it. Step 5. Build a cost of living adjusted emergency fund.
If you're in an expensive city, your emergency fund needs to be bigger because your burn rate is higher. 3 months of expenses in San Francisco is $12,000 minimum just for rent and basic food. 3 months in Omaha is $5,000. Your emergency fund should match your zip code, not some generic advice that says save 3 months without accounting for where you live. And here's the advanced move that nobody wants to hear but changes everything. If you're in an expensive city and you're barely breaking even after 3 years, you have 3 options. Only 3. 1, increase your income enough to actually get ahead in that city, not just keep pace. That means promotions, side income, something that moves the numbers significantly. 2, decrease your expenses radically, which usually means roommates or moving an hour out or cutting everything that feels normal. 3, leave. Move to a place where your income gives you breathing room instead of just survival. That third option sounds dramatic. It sounds like giving up. It sounds like admitting defeat. But here's the catch. Staying in an expensive city that's slowly bankrupting you for a decade is also dramatic. It's just slow and quiet and respectable looking while it happens. Both are hard. One builds your future, one burns it. Choose accordingly. The goal is not to never live in expensive cities. The goal is to stop pretending that $75,000 is $75,000 everywhere. Read the fine print of your geography. Calculate what's actually left after rent and taxes. Then build your life based on reality, not the number on your offer letter.
I can already hear the comments. Someone's typing right now. Let me hit the big ones before you waste your time. Finn, I'm in tech. I have to be in San Francisco or Seattle. If I move to some cheap city, my career is over. Here's the catch. Maybe that was true in 2015. It's not true anymore. Remote work is real now. Companies in Austin, Denver, Raleigh, even overseas are hiring senior engineers and paying 6 figures. And if you're in year 5 in San Francisco, still at mid-level, still broke, still waiting for the promotion that'll finally fix everything, the expensive city isn't actually helping your career. It's just expensive. If the city was going to accelerate you, it would have happened by year 3. After that, you're just paying rent. Then, but I love my city. My friends are here. My life is here. I can't just leave. That's completely fair. I'm not telling you where to live. I'm telling you to be honest about what it costs. If staying in your expensive city costs you $25,000 a year in opportunity cost, and you're okay with that trade because your life is there, great. You're making an informed choice. But if you're stressed every month, wondering why you're still broke on a good salary and complaining that you can't save, the city is part of the answer. You can love your city and also acknowledge it's bankrupting you. Both things can be true. Finn, I work remote now. I make San Francisco salary and live in Boise. This whole problem is solved. Maybe. If your company actually pays the same rate for remote workers regardless of location, you just got a massive effective raise by moving. But be careful. A lot of companies are adjusting salaries now based on where you live. They're using the same cost of living charge the recruiters have. If you took the remote job 3 years ago and they haven't adjusted you yet, great. If you're negotiating a remote role today, read the fine print on whether the salary is location adjusted, because if it is, you're back to the same math. Finn, what if I just get roommates? Then I can afford the expensive city. That can work, but be honest about the trade. Roommates at 23 are normal. Roommates at 32 to afford rent in a city you don't even like that much anymore is a choice. If you're cool with it, fine. If you're doing it because you can't afford to live alone in the city you're in, maybe the city is the problem, not your salary.
Let me show you 2 people, and I want you to see yourself in one of them. Same age, mid-20s, same degree, same industry, same job offer. $75,000 a year. Same day they both got the offer, they both felt like they'd made it. We'll call them Alex and Jordan. Alex takes the $75,000 job in Seattle. Seattle's amazing. Tech scene, coffee culture, mountains and water, vibrant city. Alex is pumped, tells everyone, posts about it, feels like a winner. After tax, Alex is taking home about $4,400 a month. Gets a 1-bedroom apartment near Capitol Hill for $2,600 a month because that's what it costs, and Alex makes $75,000, so it's fine. $1,800 left every month for food, car, insurance, student loans, everything. Alex budgets, Alex tries, but it's tight. Every month something comes up and the buffer disappears. Year 1 is fine. New job energy, new city energy, everything feels like an adventure. Year 2, the rent goes up to $2,750. Work gets stressful, bosses micromanaging. Alex thinks about looking for something else, but every job in Seattle is the same salary range and same rent problem. Year 3, Alex is making $82,000. Should feel like progress. Rent is now $2,900. Take home is $4,800. Still only $1,900 left after rent. Alex has maybe $3,000 saved on a good month, then the car needs work. Back to zero. And here's the part that should hurt. When Alex's job gets truly toxic, when the manager becomes unbearable, when the Sunday scaries turn into Sunday dread that lasts until Thursday, Alex can't leave because Alex can't afford even 6 weeks without income. The emergency fund isn't big enough. The savings are too thin. So Alex stays, takes the disrespect, takes the unreasonable deadlines, takes the passive-aggressive Slack messages. Because that $75,000, that $82,000 isn't freedom money. It's barely surviving in an expensive city money. Alex is trapped, not by the job, by the fine print Alex didn't read at 25. Jordan takes a $65,000 job in Raleigh, North Carolina. Sounds less impressive at the dinner table. Smaller company. Alex's friends ask, why Raleigh? In that tone that means, why not somewhere cool? But here's what's different. After tax, Jordan takes home about $3,900 a month. Rent for a nice one-bedroom, $1,300. $2,600 left every month. Jordan lives a normal life. Same quality food as Alex, same social life, same car situation, but there's space, breathing room. That month when the car needs work, annoying, not devastating. That friend's wedding, Jordan goes without the credit card panic. Jordan invests $500 a month from day one because there's room to do it. Not being a genius, just having space. By year 3, Jordan is making $70,000. Rent is $1,500. Still $2,600 left every month. Still comfortable. And here's what Jordan has that Alex doesn't. $21,000 invested, plus the mental space to think about what Jordan actually wants to do, not just what Jordan has to do to pay rent. When Jordan's job gets annoying, when the boss makes a dumb decision, when the company policy changes in a way that sucks, Jordan can look for something else without sweating it. Jordan can take 2 months to find the right fit. Jordan can negotiate because walking away won't cause a financial collapse. Jordan can say, no, I'm not available this weekend, without panic because 3 months of expenses is actually saved. Same income on paper in the beginning, completely different freedom by year 3. The salary didn't trap Alex, the zip code did. And Alex won't realize it until year 7, when Jordan's invested account has grown to $110,000, and Alex is still 1 bad month from stress.
Now I need to protect you from the quiet way this trap expands, because the salary isn't just about the number you see on your offer letter, it's about the identity you build around that number. And identities are expensive. Once you tell people you make $75,000, once you move into the apartment that matches that number, once you start living like someone who makes $75,000 is supposed to live, your brain recalibrates. $75,000 stops being a peak. It becomes your baseline. It becomes your new normal. Which means every future decision gets filtered through, can I still maintain my $75,000 lifestyle? Someone offers you a better job in a cheaper city for $65,000, your brain says no instantly. The number is smaller. It feels like going backward. It doesn't matter that $65,000 there is actually more money than $75,000 here after rent. Your brain is anchored to $75,000. Anything less feels like failure. A career pivot that means taking a temporary step back in salary? Can't do it. You've got the apartment, the car payment, the lifestyle, the expectations. Never mind that the lifestyle is keeping you trapped in work you hate. The lifestyle is non-negotiable now. It's part of your identity. You make $75,000. That's who you are. Here's the leak. Every time you let your spending rise to match your gross income instead of your net income, you're locking yourself into needing that exact number forever. You're not building options, you're building obligations. And obligations are just a polite word for trapped. The fine print on your life isn't in a contract you signed, it's in the gap between what you think you make and what you actually get to keep after the government takes their cut and your zip code takes theirs.
And if you build your entire life in that gap, you're going to spend the next 20 years making good money on paper and feeling broke in reality. The salary isn't the trap. The identity you build around the salary is the trap. And once you're locked in, once your life requires that exact number just to not fall apart, you're not free anymore, you're just employed.
All right, let's bring this home. Here's what you need to burn into your brain. $75,000 is not $75,000. It's whatever's left after the government takes their 30%, your health insurance takes their cut, and your rent takes the rest. For most people in most cities, that $75,000 becomes $35,000 of actual life money. If you're budgeting your entire existence around the number on your offer letter instead of the number in your bank account after rent, you're budgeting wrong, and you're gonna feel broke forever. Your salary is only half the equation. The other half is geography. $75,000 in San Francisco can feel broker than $55,000 in Pittsburgh, and I'm not being dramatic. Run the actual math. After taxes and rent, the Pittsburgh person has more money left every single month. That's not theory, that's just math. And if you signed a lease without doing that math, you're paying for that mistake every single month. Here's your playbook. Calculate your real net income before you accept any offer. That's your actual salary, not the number they wrote on the offer letter. Plan every single thing in your life around that real number. Run a cost of living comparison before you move. If the salary increase doesn't cover the rent increase, it's not a raise, it's a trap with better weather. Set a rent rule, 30% of net maximum. If you're taking home $4,000, rent is capped at $1,200, not negotiable. If you can't find something in budget, you're in the wrong city for your salary, or you need roommates. Track I deserve spending for 1 month. Add it up at the end, decide if it's actually worth trading your future for relief today. No judgment, just honesty. Build a cost of living adjusted emergency fund. Expensive cities need bigger funds because you burn through money faster. 3 months in your city, not 3 months in the generic advice version of your city. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit out loud. Making $75,000 and feeling broke isn't success, it's just expensive failure wearing a good job title. $60,000 in a place where you're saving, investing, and breathing easy, that's what winning actually looks like. The number on your offer letter is not the prize. The number left in your account after taxes and rent is the only number that matters. And if that number is close to zero, your salary is a lie you're telling yourself while you stay busy and stressed and stuck. Stop chasing the bigger gross number. Start chasing the bigger net after rent number. That's the only number that buys freedom. Everything else is just paperwork.
If this video helped you see why your $75,000 feels like $25,000, or if you just did the math and realized you're living in a place that's quietly bankrupting you, do me a favor. Hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'm breaking down financial fine print every single week, and you need to see this before you sign your next offer letter or lease, not after when it's too late. Drop a comment right now with 3 numbers: your gross salary, your net after tax, and your rent. I want to see what's actually left when you strip away all the fine print. No names, just numbers. No judgment, just math. Let's see who's actually ahead and who's just surviving on a good-looking salary. And if you want to know why that $800 car payment traps you even harder when you're making $75,000, that video's up right now. The car payment trap doesn't care about your salary. It just knows how to eat it. I'll see you there.